Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with Lindsay Bjorklund. Today is AMA, Ask Mike Anything. We take questions from our community around how to grow a cleaning company profitably and without overworking yourself to death. And we broadcast them here. So let's get the party started. Lindsay, who do we got first?
Great. Someone in the Facebook group asked, well, at first they said, my commercial cleaning company has been in operation since 2014. So we've had many employees come and go. Right now, I have a wonderful lady who wants work so much. She's great. The issue is due to some personal stuff, trust was set up, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, Mike, she can't be set up officially on payroll. So here lies a problem for the person asking the question. They usually do things by the book. They put people on payroll, but this lady, they can't, but they really want to hire her, it sounds like. So do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I've definitive thoughts here. So first and foremost, a global kind of meta mistake owners make is molding their business to a specific perceived opportunity. And I say perceived because it's often not an opportunity. And that opportunity or perceived opportunity could come in form of clients or employees or a new type of client or software. And we get so focused on what we perceive to be the opportunity, we don't fit it into our actual goal, right? So we kind of want to start with, well, what's the goal of the company? Because what we typically ask is not what's the goal for the company? What am I trying to accomplish here? We ask, will this help me grow? And the problem is there's an infinite amount of things that the answer to the question, will this help me grow, is yes. So because we have finite time and resources, but there's an infinite amount of opportunities, we have to make a decision somewhere in terms of what a good idea is a bad idea, not just something I've been exposed to, right? Like this woman came to you and you're like, she's great. I'd like her. I think she can help me grow my business. I think she'll make my life easier, blah, 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 blah. So if the question is just that, sounds like the answer is yes. But if the goal of the company is to say do $1 million in revenue or $2 million and 30% profit, not have to work. Having someone, when you only have 2 or 3 employees, and be like, well, I got this deal with Lindsay and she's kind of off the books, and this deal with another guy and he's on the books, and this guy, that's fine for a smaller company. But when you picture yourself at your goal, you're probably just not going to have cutouts for, because you just, you can have flexibility or you can have scalability. But, if you go to the Apple store, you're like, I want this and this and this and a special custom made stuff. They're like, we do it like this. That's how it goes. So my feedback would be, I certainly wouldn't change my business for any specific person, software, idea, potential client that didn't meet my goals. Like a lot of times we'll have residential people that know they only want to do residential. They want to be big in residential, but they get an opportunity or perceived opportunity to do a commercial account. Like, well, because of this, because of that. And it's like, well, and that might get them closer to, will you make a couple extra bucks if you take this account now? Maybe, probably if you bid it right. But if the real question is, if the real goal is I want to build $1 million cleaning company, is that going to get you, how many, having coached for a decade and thousands and thousands and thousands, I can't recall one 7-figure cleaning company that does both that hasn't been in business 20 or 30 years. And the people that have been in business 20 or 30 years are like, well, they have experience. It's like, no. They got to that revenue in spite of doing both because they're around so long, not because of their growth. So we can get some short-term up that's long-term down, right? Another example I give, and then we'll go back to the specific question, is software. I use ZenMaid a lot because, we've had Amar, the owner or the founder on the podcast, and it's good software, and they do online booking. So a lot of times we don't do online booking. We do really well with going in person to sell. And then we're like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be easier if I could just do it online? Of course it will be, but your revenue drops off a cliff, right? It's easier for you, but if the goal is to make it as easy and automated as possible, well, even then you're going to automate the front end and the sales. But if you get a bunch of one-time cleans or people that you don't get to see their house, like it can, we don't kind of look at the whole picture. So as much as I like ZenMaid, I personally wouldn't modify my business to that particular feature, right? So as it comes to hiring, if we're going to be a real company, a big company, we have to have standards, and we don't want to break our neck over our head over every time, well, this person's great, but there's just a standard. And if they don't meet the standard, that's it. So the encouragement, so the short answer is no, I wouldn't, I'm not going to make an allowance for this person. But the the big pictures I want to get for everybody in the audience are twofold. One, be really careful when you see, I'm a realtor and I can get you 1,000 move-in, move-outs. Like, well, I don't do move-in, move-outs. So, or I'm a software, I'm an employee. We've kind of gone over that. The second one is, what's the real problem? Oftentimes we try and solve the wrong problem, right? Like almost 80% of the people that come into our company are like, I don't have any, I want more customers. That's, I want help me with marketing. And we go over their books and aren't making any money. That's the real problem. They think they want more customers. They really want to make money. And they think if I get more customers, I'll make more money. But half of them, their hiring funnel is broken. So even if I did help them get more customers, they would crumple them. So we got to get clear on what the real problem is. The real problem with this is not whether or not Susie is legal to work and how we work around the legal situation. The real problem is I don't have enough goddamn flow, right? The fact that you're giving this much headache to one person, we got to solve that problem, right? You should have a hiring funnel where you get 50, 60 applications that are automatically sorted and work to a group interview to one, like a real process at hire that's not painful or headachy. So you have more people qualified than you can hire, and you're looking for reasons to exclude them. Like, oh my gosh, there's 3 people that seem perfect. This girl, is not legal to work. So thank goodness, because I only need one. So there's a great opportunity to kind of disqualify her. So the problem that you're trying to solve is, how can I get this woman shoehorned into my company? The problem I would propose needs to be solved is, how do I get more than enough qualified cleaners so I don't have to make any concessions? And how do I do so in a way that's scalable and isn't painful, right? If it's you going through manually 100 applications every week, that's painful and not scalable. If you just shut it down and nothing, and you get this one person who might be good and we got to change everything for her, that's not big enough. So you need a system, and what we coach, group interview, working interview run by the cleaners. But if you have a system that generates more qualified people than you need, you never have to make exceptions or bend your system to meet some perceived perfect employee. So I know it's a long answer for a short question, but that's trying to give the people what they want.
Got it. Love it. All right, Mike. Next up, we have Allison, who asked, what's the sweet spot for raising prices? Do you do a certain percentage? I feel like some of my clients need to be raised by $25, but I feel like that's too much.
That's a good question. And just the phrasing in the question kind of shows, again, I think we're solving for the wrong problem. So the way it was phrased, like, is it a certain percentage? Is it, $25 seems like a lot of money. We got to go back to, what's the whole goal of raising prices? And if it's just to make more money, like, how much money? As much as possible. Like, what does that mean? Right? So we coach our owners or our clients to 30% net profit. The way that they would do that is 45% cost of goods sold, so 45% to produce a service, 25% for overhead, marketing, software, all that good stuff, and then 30% for the owner to take home. So now, instead of saying I'm trying to make quote unquote as much profit as I can and constantly fiddling with our prices, like, well, I think this guy's rich so I can charge more, or this guy, or I started Lindsay off a very low price, so I can't raise her quote unquote too much, but this guy started is already overpaying. Should I raise them all 5%? It's like, no. So we have to start with a standard of what's the goal for all of our clients' pricing, right? Could you imagine, again, going into Apple and they're like, well, sometimes the price is here, and sometimes how much money do you have? And what do you like? The price is the price, and that's just that. So we want to have a pricing. We want to start with, what percentage profit do I want to make out of this? And then get the numbers to kind of back that up. And Apple's not particularly interested in, if I bought my last laptop for $4 or $10,000. Their price is their price, and that's just that. So we kind of get into this weird, oh, Lindsay's going to be angry and blah, 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 or I'm going to raise her quote unquote too much. Well, if the goal is just to have a bunch of customers not making any money, do what you want for any price that you want. If the goal is to be profitable, then no offense, I don't really care if Lindsay, like, I'd like to work with her, but if she's like, that's too expensive, well, then you won't, again, Apple's not like, gosh, that laptop was $1,500, but old Mike, he could only afford $1,200. Like, what can we do? Like, they go, well, that'll just be another Mike. Like, we know what our model is. And if Mike can't afford it, then we'll just sell to Bob. Like, that'll just be fine.
It's business, not a charity. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like, I feel like sometimes I'm so sorry to interrupt. I appreciate it. I feel like the cleaning company owners that we've worked with over the years, they're the nicest, sweetest people, Mike. And they're just so kind-hearted, and they're just so good to people. A lot of times at the detriment to their own business. It's almost like they forget, hey, I'm running a business. I need to make money. I need to be profitable. So I just had to shout that out because it frustrates me.
Hey Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to get them in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, and we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk.
Profit almost comes as an afterthought. And
Yeah.
the same reason I love our niche, that's you guys, you listeners, is somewhat part of what holds them back. They're the type of people who don't understand when they get on the plane, when the flight attendant says, you have to put your mask on first, and then you can help the other people. To them, it's like, no, but my kids are here, my husband's here, and there's this nice guy across he looks older, I need to help him. And the instinct is right, that way of serving is right, but the execution's poor, right? The flight attendant isn't telling you to put your own mask on first because she likes you or prefers you to the other passengers. She knows that's just going to be more effective. You're not going to be able to help anybody if you lose oxygen. And the same thing goes for your company, right? We want to help everybody, but the best way to help the poor is to not be the poor. So if our business isn't stable financially, we can't help anybody, right? And again, if we keep making all these, well, Lindsay's this and she's going to be mad, I can't do that, then I'll never get big. I'll have my 23 clients, and maybe my 23 clients love me, but we probably didn't get into this business to serve 23 clients. We got into it to serve 2,000 clients. And again, it goes back to what the goal is for the company. If your goal is like, I just want to help some people and maybe do it myself and maybe make a little bit of money, but I just want to make a couple dozen people happy, then you can do it any way you want. Like if any tool will work for that. But if you're like, no, I want a profitable business that runs without me, that can serve a lot of people, then we have to have a pricing system that is scalable, repeatable, dependable. And we just have to be okay with people not taking it. Like I tell people all the time, we get, 400 applications a month, and we'll work with a dozen or so. I could focus on I can't do math, 90%, the 380 that don't work with us. Or I could go, are we meeting our goals of service and financial and all that? With the people that we do serve. Yeah, we are. So it's great. So I just want to encourage you guys and gals, be clear on what your goal is. And don't focus on the things that aren't working, and just be okay with a bunch of no's. That's kind of the cost of, if you want everyone to say yes, you can't go on very many sales calls because at some point you're going to run across a no. So I would just refrain from price raising as something to do that hopefully makes my client happy or doesn't offend them, and the goal is to get through it with the least pain as possible, to price raising is to save my business, right? Most of our clients, the same very ones that are so kind and so sweet and don't think about themselves, if I physically try to attack their child, they'd rip my eyes out, right? As well they should. So we got to do the same thing about our business, right? It's okay to be nice and sweet, but when someone's like, I would like you to work for free, or I would like to hurt your business by being a client, and if you don't do that for me, then I'm out. We go, oh, okie dokie. Well, then I guess you're out. Yeah. So we just have to frame it in the right way. The goal of the business is not to, again, just goes back to the goals. The goal of the business is not to have as many clients as possible. It's to be profitable and to scale. And if a client's angry with you because your goals don't align with their goals, first of all, if they're angry, that's silly, right? Like when Netflix, sends me an email going, hey, it's not going to be $15 a month. It's going to be $20 a month. I don't throw my computer out the window. Be those dirty bastards. I don't make a moral judgment. I go, well, it's worth it. I'll keep it, or screw that. I'm out. But to be angry and send an angry letter to Netflix would be a waste of my time. And I promise you, Netflix ain't going to be interested or give an ounce of their time. And they got a lot more time than we do, right? So for you guys, we just got to get off someone might be angry. Like, yeah, so what? If you're going to ever build anything special, someone's going to be angry. So again, if the goal is to not make anyone unhappy, then we're going to, that's fine. That's a very reasonable goal. You're just going to have a very small business. If the goal is to make a big business, by definition, you're going to make people unhappy. Impossible not to. So just, you go, which price do you want to pay? The price of having a small business where you don't make any money and you probably have to do a lot of work and have bitchy customers, or our customers that take advantage, but nobody complains because you can make everyone happy by just working harder, doing more? Or do you want a business that's super profitable and 12% of the people you deal with hate you? No moral right or wrong, but you do want to align with your goals. All right. I think we've got time for one more, lady.
Alrighty. Someone in the Facebook group asked, so I need help. I just lost my second client due to our cancellation policy. It's all on our reminders, but once enforced, they leave. Any thoughts?
I always have thoughts. They always ask if I have thoughts, and the answer is yes, I always have thoughts. Again, this is a tough one when we're coaching kind of one-to-many, because the devil's in the details a little bit here. So I don't know if this person's residential or commercial, and I don't know what your cancellation policy is. If they're leaving due to the cancellation policy, I'm going to take a wild guess it's residential, just because commercial doesn't do a lot of canceling. So again, I think the theme of this podcast is people solving the wrong problem, right? So our first question, how do I get this lady who's not legal to work able to work? You don't. You solve the different problem. How do we get more than enough candidates so it's not a problem? Second lady, how do I raise prices without upsetting people that have been with me a lot, or, without being too much? You don't. You base your pricing based on what's profitable and your goals. And if they say no, we solve a different problem, we'll just get more leads, right? If you only have 2 leads or 3 customers, or it's real small, we are afraid to lose somebody. But when you have more clients than you can handle, you raise prices, that's fine. This third one is people are leaving due to my cancellation policy. How do I get them not to leave? I would say we're solving the wrong problem and go, why are they canceling? So it's and again, this would be a much better one-on-one conversation, but I think we can give some value one-to-many. Typically, the way that you have your cancellation set up is, again, we're solving the wrong problem. Like, I want people to pay $25 if they cancel. Fine. You can have that, but they're probably not going to pay it, and they might get pissed. So either then you don't collect it, in which case, why even have it? Or you do collect it, or they just quit and then you don't collect it anyway. Like, just rarely are people going to do that. So again, I'm going to go to why are they canceling? And typically the reason is they're not all in. It's inconvenient or whatever. One little shift that we coach all of our people to do is we charge up front, right? We have their credit card on file, charge in advance, just like Netflix, right? I can call Netflix and go, don't charge me again. I'm not going to watch any more of your stupid stuff. And they go, okay, but they've already charged me for this month, right? So if I watch it for a month and then I say, I don't want to pay you, that's different. Or I'm going to stop paying you, right? Same with the gym. If you pay in advance, you're not going to go to the gym and go, I didn't really lift very many weights today, so I'd like some money back. Or you could, but they're not going to do it, right? So if you charge in advance, the fact that they've already paid for it, the cancellations drop off a cliff, right? Because it's mostly, I haven't paid, or I'm trying to save. And again, there's a lot of things going on. There's probably the wrong client with the wrong mindset, blah, 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 blah. So it's not going to solve it entirely, but instead of having a cancellation policy, which you have to enforce, you just have a payment setup that encourages people to behave the way that you want them to behave, which is you pay in advance, they value the service. And you're like, well, they could still cancel. They can. But you have their money, so they're a lot less likely. And they could still ask for a refund. And what we would coach you to do is just go, we don't, just like with the gym, if you go, hey, I was gone for a month, they're probably going to throw you out. But we're going, I don't do it. That has nothing to do with me. You can give them a credit, right? So say Lynn's like, I'm not going to be in town this week. I don't need a clean. I'm not going to refund her money, which would be weird if it's $400 a month. And, she's like, I want my $180 for the single, or whatever the case may be. I just give her credit for another clean going forward, and she can use a credit or not use it. But again, it's a little bit different of a situation, and they're just going to cancel a lot less. So just by getting paid in advance changes their motivation. You're trying to give them the service, get them to pay afterwards. And then it's like, well, I'm not interested in paying for that service because, I'm just, people who pay attention, right? Your money is where your heart is. So when they give you your money, they're giving you their commitment. When they're saying, I want you to commit, i.e. put me on the schedule, hire a bunch of people, train them, get all the materials set up. I want you to do all that. And after the fact, I'll pay you. that's a flaw in the relationship. So again, we're solving the wrong problem. The problem is what they expect your relationship should be. And the way that we solve that is we value ourselves. And if they go, why would I pay in advance? Because I'm going to prepare and get a team ready and a schedule. Like if you cancel, I can't fill that spot tomorrow. I can fill it today, right? You're on for next Tuesday. I can fill that spot, but if you call me Tuesday morning, I can't. And I don't want to be a jerk to charge you a cancellation policy. So we're just going to pay you. You're going to pay just like the gym. You know, you're like, if I want to lift some weights, I'll pay you after I go. But you have all the buy all the weights, get them ready, have electricity, have it all set up like Netflix. Go spend $100 million making $1 billion making 100 movies. Put them out here. And if I want to watch them, I'll watch it and I'll pay you. They're like, no, you have to pay to access the thing. So we just want to make sure we're solving the right problem. The right problem is the relationship is they understand that they're paying not just for the house to be clean, but also it costs money to have a team ready and yada, yada. So they're just paying in advance. That's going to solve 90% of the problems. For the 10% that it doesn't, we can deal with a little bit. And if I've been with Lindsay for a year and every year she goes on vacation and she calls me in advance, goes, hey, I'm on vacation. I'd like to, can I only pay half this month because I'm going to be on vacation, not last minute. Sure. Or if, once a year she last minute calls, I just can't handle blah, blah, blah. And she takes a credit. Fine. Now, if Lindsay every third or fourth cleaning is like, I need to cancel. Then I'm just going to tell her, hey, I'm again going to reset the relationship. That's not what we do here. We're not a one-time cleaner. We have relationships. So if you want us to take care of you, just like if someone called me and said, hey, Mike, what do you charge for an hour one-on-one coaching? I don't do that because I can't really help and I don't get results. It's not what we're set up to do. Like if you're really committed, you'll follow the system, the process we have to get you the result. But if you just want to do it your way, kind of half-assed, that's fine. That's not how we know we can get results. We're just not going to do it. So it's okay to, again, charge in advance. If it's someone that you've been with a long time and every now and again, they're like, hey, I need this favor. It's fine. Like we're happy to accommodate. We just give them a little credit. No big deal. And if people are just canceling all the time, rescheduling, just set the boundary of you can't do this. And you're like, they might cancel. Like, fine. It's all fine. So the cancellation policy is probably not right. Like after the fact, I want to charge you money. That's hard to do. And you might not have the right expectation. You probably don't have the right relationship set with the clients. All right. I feel like we've covered quite a bit. Anything to add to that, Lindsay, before we wrap? Or anything?
No, I just love the theme that accidentally came out of these questions. It's awesome. I love how you tied it all together. Solve the right problem. Solve the wrong problem. Wait, say it again.
Solving the wrong problem. Most of the time the problem you think you're trying to solve, first of all, is this the right problem I should be solving? And then we can get at solving it. Okay, so Cleaning Nation, if you are, hopefully this is helpful. And if you're one of those folks that are like, that's exactly what I need, God bless, go get them. If you're one of those folks like, I know I'm trying to solve the wrong problem, or I don't know what problem to solve, or I've been stuck and these podcasts are great, but I can't actually get unstuck, feel free to reach out. We've got a ton of nice coaches, including myself, lots of free content and all that. But again, at the end of the day, at some point, you need a real human that knows what they're doing to jump on a call and be like, hey, let's sort this out. So if you'd like that, we do that for not even clients, just for new folks to help get it clear on where you're at, where you want to be, help you come up with a plan. If you're like, why would you do that? What's in it for you? Oftentimes those people, the plan that they need, like, hey, will you help us do this? We want you to do this for us or with us. And then if we think it's a fit, we go forward. But just so you know, like I said, we get about 400 applications a month when we do a couple dozen. So you don't have to worry about some high pressure deal because we got more applications that we need. So, but we do want to help and give value. So hopefully that helps. Tons of free content. And if you want some help, reach out and let one of our coaches have a real conversation and we'll get you sorted. Talk soon. See you.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.